Yeah, exactly.
Also, you have yours coming.
Dream, living the dream.
So you're going on a trip. When is it that you go on a trip?
Yeah, how's that coming?
Good morning. Hola, 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 hola.
We are good.
I am hot.
Good, happy, moving forward. I just ordered my yard sign. We should talk about that.
I'm so hot. I feel like,
I will.
I'm hot.
Okay,
Is it hot in
I can't
here?
find mine.
Okay, it ain't just me. Oh, come on.
Yeah. Did you see that?
Hello.
Oh my God. Oh, here they are.
Hey.
I do have a pen. I do. Yeah, I left it in the car. I know there's always something, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
I was talking to someone. I put it in the right before I go down. Ran and left it. It's okay. Just
I'm here now, but I'll be here. I'm doing the
better when we don't have
economic.
it, right?
Then we have leadership. Then we have council.
I just wanted to show you my yard sign.
you doing it.
It was a lot of work. Yeah. You know, usual thing.
It's my favorite time. Thank you, Tim.
Right from here, because then I'll forget.
I got my car back, y'all. I got my car back. Yeah, but
It
you know
was-
how?
oh, right, it
You know
was-
how when you open the door and the radio turns off? Mine don't. Mine don't.
How over did you go? Yeah. So over.
Oh, it's so good to see you. How's it going?
Yeah, right?
This is the meeting of the Economic Development Committee of the Common Council. I'm Pat Hogan. I'm the chair. I'm joined by City Councilors Monto, Caldwell, Paniagua, President Hudson, Councilor Mojoke, and Councilor Allen. We have Michael Collins, who's head of Neighborhood Business Development, and we have Mr. Dishaw up here at the table. And we're here to discuss items 26 and 27 that are on the council agenda. Things that will change significantly how we deal with zoning issues and operational issues as far as codes in the city. So why don't you lead it off, Mr. Collins? We also have a Corporation Counsel, Joe Barry, here too. So why don't you give us an overview, if you could, Mr. Collins?
Absolutely. Thank you, councilors, for the opportunity to address the topic. We are at a place of incredible growth within our community, and that's shown in a lot of different incredibly positive ways. One of which is the amount of construction that we've got for most of it right now being housing, from small to large, but also all the growth that we've got in front of us related to Micron and population growth in the area. This was really a perfect time for us to look at what does how do we readdress the way that we go through our zoning and our planning processes. At the same time, county obviously is going through those growths and looked at what they wanted to do as well. And what we've come to is the fact that it's time now to be able to bring zoning and planning back to the city and continue to have strong coordination with the county on it. This is not anything other than an amicable understanding of the fact that the opportunity is right for both to be able to focus the way that we want to focus on it. And so what we're proposing in front of you right now is that we make a change to the charter that creates two new positions. One is and that's on the org sheet, org chart that you've got in front of you, the two orange positions, that we create a deputy commissioner of Planning and Sustainability and a Deputy Commissioner of Code Enforcement. And underneath the Commissioner of Code Enforcement, we would have both zoning and historic preservation fit within permitting and licensing, so it would be an expansion on that side. And then subsequently, what you have in front of you is also an intermunicipal agreement that has been drafted, and both our Corporation Counsel and amazing work by Joe Barry and his counterpart at the county. Our Corp Counsels are in agreement with the document. So that's a quick top-level overview of where we're at.
So in essence, while divorces aren't always amicable, this is one. We're divorcing ourselves from the county, and we're taking over the zoning administration for the city after all these years, since 1971. And it's been a sort of it's engendered a lot of angst for me over the years of battling some of the planning and zoning people. Not so much because of their stance on certain issues, but because they existed in sort of an area that was between the city and the county, with actually no type of supervision, really. So this will abate that question, correct?
Everybody related to zoning would now be a city employee who's underneath the mayor.
Okay, so now just a little sideline. As far as those employees go, will they become city employees and they'll be under us, or will they be county employees under supervision of the city?
So I'm going to turn this over to Jake.
So they would all be City of Syracuse employees. This is going to fit within the function of the Central Permit Office. So we are working on hiring 4 zoning plan reviewers. They would be city staff. They would be CSEA union, same as our fire code reviewers, our building code reviewers. They would work directly within that office. And all of those employees would report to me directly.
Okay, so they'd be county employees?
No, city employees. City residents, city employees, CSEA.
Okay, civil service.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, this is stunning because this is a sort of a situation that I never thought would have come in my time on the council. As far as your position goes, Mr. Dishaw, you're going to be directly in charge. You'll be the chief enforcement officer, holds, and that position won't change. You'll answer to the commissioner, but you'll also answer the mayor too?
That's correct. So the building and fire code will be strictly handled by myself and the director and the fire chief. So all, safety code related matters related to building and fire code will still happen within those, with those three people.
And Commissioner Collins, you have 4 deputy commissioners. One will be in charge of economic development, one will be in charge of neighborhood improvement. But how does that work?
Currently, we've got two deputy commissioners, neighborhood and economic development. What this would do, and what's certainly never obvious unless you're really in the thick of it, is both of those divisions directly support the work of code enforcement and planning and permitting right now. So much of the good work that's happened around our ability to do code enforcement at Skyline, at all the green properties, at Ballantyne, the data behind that positions our lawyers to be able to go to court is generated and supported and curated by Deputy Commissioner Michelle Scapanzi's team on neighborhoods. And then when it comes to our economic development, our new building, a lot of those larger projects, tight coordination with economic development.
And the Deputy Commissioner of Planning and Sustainability, that will be he'll be reporting directly to you too?
Correct.
And working with you, Jake, or?
That's correct.
So will he be under your jurisdiction, or are you going to work in alignment with him?
I'll work in alignment with that position, but that position is really for city planning by a city staff member, which the only difference from today is that person will be a city staff member and live in the city.
Will he be an urban planner? Will he have a degree in urban planning? How are we going to work that out?
Yeah. So it would be an overly qualified individual, absolutely.
A lot like the city council. So, are there any questions from my colleagues on this?
I just have one quick one. I'm looking at the permitting license, and I get that. Zoning, I get that too. So historic preservation, that's going to be under you, Jake?
That will also fit into the central permit office directly. If you think about when somebody's going through, a preservation review, it's typically because they either did something without approval and then they're working through the process, or they're proposing to do something within that will also work in conjunction and need a permit as well. So we're going to bring in a preservation planner to work directly within the permit office to still handle those functions much as they're handled today, but more directly within the permit office, and better communication and management with that board to make sure that we're facilitating people that want to do work on historic properties.
Okay, because I was trying to figure out the qualifications for the preservation. So when you talk about the board, okay, so if this is moving, is the board going to change? Is the makeup of the board going to look different?
So the way board members are made up will not change. Those rules and regulations are in place and will remain in place, many of which are appointed by the mayor, if you're talking about, the BZA, the Planning Commission, or Landmark Preservation Board.
Preservation and planning,
So none of that will change. How did you phrase it about the Deputy Commissioner of Planning? The person for preservation will be overly qualified.
Yeah. So
It doesn't always give me confidence sometimes.
yeah. So
Talking preservation.
I think another important component to this, and it goes back to the decisions around how zoning is implemented in the city, similar with historic preservation. When the staff member becomes a city staff member, then we have the ability to set the tone and support for how that interaction happens with the board that the mayor is appointed, and make sure that we have a flow of communication that exhibits the way that the mayor does it now.
Because I know in things like this, you know, they have their little board and all that good stuff, not little board, but their board. And when things change, you get pushback. So I'm wondering, have you gotten any pushback on the changes that you're going to be making for this from these different boards?
So we have not. This is, as we've been going through this process, we've been looking at really what's going to be best overall for the way that we do business. And with your approval, we'll move forward with it. And then as these are all appointed by the mayor, we'll be working very closely with them on here's what the support to the board and the expectation of how we do business within respecting their rules works. You know, we're not looking to overthrow things that exist within the government. What we're looking to do is
They want to overthrow you.
I'm not always the most popular person.
See, I think the problem for some of the newer counselors, the problem was the previous zoning administrator was trapped between two worlds. She was a county employee, but she was
Right.
administering city policies. The problem with her, I mean, not personally problem with her, but she had administrative a judgment and the ability to be flexible, but she rarely used it because of the position she was in. Here, you're going to have the zoning administrator going to be working directly for a city, and be probably more conducive to city policies going forward. Yes, I would love to talk to you, Deputy Mayor, because I want to ask you about the Planning Commission. They're in action the other night, as a matter of fact.
Yes, sir. It was an interesting meeting. I would encourage any of the counselors, your colleagues, to watch it.
I was going to go, but I had appointment to. I had to redo my sock drawer that night, so.
This dude. This dude.
Now, you know the camera is looking right at me. So,
Rearrange it, you know. Black screens, you know.
so. Thank you, Council President Hudson. We are in, you know, I'm just reiterating the facts. Those of you who have been around quite a bit know that this alignment is a long time coming. We have the opportunity to, in essence, control our own destiny when it comes to the development of the city, bring these positions and these functions under the umbrella of the city government, under neighborhood and business development. The 4 commissioners will be peers. That peer relationship gives them an amazing opportunity under the direction of the commissioner to coordinate every aspect of what we're doing in the city, whether it be residential, mixed use, and commercial. It is also important to know that the deputy commissioner will also be overseeing the function of, from a staffing point of the planning commission. We believe we're still working on the housing preservation, the staff person who will oversee that. It all will flow under Jake. And our intention is to appoint Jake Dishaw as the Commissioner of Code Enforcement. I just want to make that clear.
You know, to President Hudson's point, though, those boards, Landmark Preservation Board, the Planning Commission, all of them, there should be a way to cycle people through, because it's been the same folks for a long time. Unlike elected officials who get elected every 2 years, it seems like the same appointments happen.
We are,
sort of like speeds up the process a little bit.
we are paying attention to terms and all of that, so we're going to make sure that we're on top of that. That is the role of the administrative oversight of boards, to just keep the mayor abreast. Corporation Council also plays that role for the administration, but we're excited about this. It's no secret just the amazing work that Jake has done, what he's been able to do with the permits office, and he came to us probably a year it's been about a year and a half, saying we have to make this move. And so we've been working diligently. Stars are aligning with the county. Dan and his office have their directors from the county executive. So we all came, as you're talking about, a mutual divorce. And not quite, because the IMA also keeps a plan or two in there. So we have to maintain that connectivity with SACPA.
And it talks about also we can use Dan and his people for advice and
Particularly around special projects, that type of thing. So that's all still embedded. We don't want to completely separate from SACPA. The city is in the county, and so we need to have that relationship.
So, well, I don't know who can answer this best. So how much, we send $1 million to the county for
Right.
SACPA currently?
Yes.
Does that million cover everything that you're trying to do here?
Yes, they do. And we also Jake can begin with even the current budget to begin that hiring and posting positions transitionally, because we don't want to wait till July 1st to have new positions on, and then we're starting with new people or this new function without some kind of transition. And so we do have in the existing budget, because of vacancies, the ability to begin this process.
So
once approved.
Was that million off the abstract?
Abstract.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the 4 zoning plan reviewers that you were talking about, those are new positions?
New positions within city government, yes. I mean, if you want to think of them as transfers from the abstract from a SACPA county position to the city, you can think of it that way, but these are new positions to the city budget.
The function is not new.
Are there bodies in positions from SACPA that we would try to bring over to?
We will open the opportunity for anyone who would like to apply for an open. We have to post these positions.
So yeah, residency, all the same requirements. Just to clarify a couple things, I don't know that I'd categorize anything as not being amicable. I think the timing that we're in with the things that are happening in our area, ranging, from the economy to Micron to everything else that's happening, growth in population, hopefully that continues. But I think it's more of a vision of what each of the county and city see as an opportunity, and really what's driving this. Rezone is a big part of it. The county has their own priorities and things that they want to focus on. So I think this IMA amendment is really is mutual, and it does connect long-term planning for the city within the county, but also kind of gives that direct oversight, which you're concerned with, Councilor Hogan, which is directly on day-to-day zoning administration matters, which impact, places of business from opening or starting construction, et cetera. So all of that functionality remains in place, but I think both bodies of government get the pieces of the puzzle that they're prioritizing, both for long-term planning and for zoning administration, which was really why we started this conversation a year and a half ago.
Did the separation of economic development being the same department as codes and zoning and all that gave me some pause. But I think that's been abated by the change in the legislation to give you, complete, as the chief enforcement officer, you're in complete charge. So I just wanted to ask one more question to the deputy mayor. Where does that go now? The planning commission took no action last night or Monday night, right?
So this, I will say to the council, this functionality doesn't depend on the rezone.
I know that, but I'm just, while you're here, I'm wondering, where do we go from here? They took no action.
So I will, they took no action. They made a lot of requests from Owen last night. And I'll ask Joe what the process is from the planning commission to the council, if you don't mind.
Good morning, Joe Barry, First Assistant Corporation Counsel. So the process from the Planning Commission is very similar to the process you see on other matters that are not as significant, such as special permits and other types of zone changes. The Planning Commission, in order to move forward with rezone, has to adopt a resolution, which they would then send to the city clerk for placement on your next available council agenda to take that action. So they have to have a vote and send it over to start to get the process before you.
See, my understanding is there's one opening, one vacancy, correct?
Yes. That was brought to my attention just this morning.
Okay.
So but
Yeah.
there was one appointed seat that was missing at the meeting, but the resignation is not in effect until
Mid-May.
May.
See, this is almost like what happens when people are waiting for a decision for the Planning Commission for Economic Development. Right now, we're waiting for the whole rezoning of the city because they can't make a decision, and this is one of the reasons why we did this. You know, it's what happens all the time, because there are developers, and I talk to Eric all the time, who are waiting for rezone to get passed so they know what guidelines they have.
Right.
You know,
Because you don't want to start a process under the old rules.
Yeah, because you don't know what's going to change.
Yep.
So this is an example right here.
So I have a follow-up question to, just for clarification for what Councilor Manto had asked earlier. So how many specifically from the county are coming to this city? How many employees? How many positions?
2.
Just 2?
So technically, the way that we're doing it is the current positions are county positions funded through the abstract. We are now creating our own positions that largely mirror from a number and function standpoint what they've got over there. It is not an actual importation. We're not importing those positions from the county. We are creating our own that serve those functions but exist with our authority.
So for that abstract, that $1 million abstract, how many staff did it paid for? That's what I'm trying to.
With benefit,
Yeah. So the abstract overall had about I think it was 10 positions. Yeah, right. So that was zoning and planning.
Okay.
And so what we're including in the abstract now is going to be down to a planner. Okay. Since we're bringing everything else over to our
Okay,
side.
so 10 plus a planner here, so it's going to be a total of 11?
For number of positions?
Yes, so 10 coming from the previous abstract, and then how many are we planning? Because I see here in the orange, there's 2 positions, right? That's going to be added, so it's going to be 12?
So there's a little bit of a disconnect here because of the fact that what we're doing is we are creating a system for ourselves that works for us rather than simply importing the system that existed before. And so that's why it's not you're not looking at a one-for-one where we just copy and paste. And so that can lead to a little bit of confusion on it. So the positions that you're seeing right here, so the Deputy Commissioner of Code Enforcement, that is more of a recognition of the fact that with zoning underneath there's going to be a lot more work than what the current Director of Code Enforcement position has. So it's elevating that in recognition of it. So a lot of that work falls underneath there. The Commissioner of Planning position, that is new. That's coming over. That's going to include sustainability. That's work that we really want to have a strong focus on. And then underneath that, administratively, that's where we have the historic preservation position and the zoning administrative positions.
Okay. So what I'm going to take from here is because Jake is going to be grandfathered in because we're just moving him up with some administrative stuff that will take place, right? So with this $1 million that we sent to the county, we next year in the budget we will see 10 additional staff, right? That will.
So not quite. So what the way the abstract works is the way the abstract works is confusing enough to lead to exactly why you're thinking this. So the abstract itself is it is a collection of tax that goes straight to the county in support of services that are direct for the city. So what we pay in this particular line of the abstract will be reduced because we're not hiring as many people.
Right.
Separately, we have to have in our own budget the money to then expand the number of people that we'll have.
So just because I sometimes. So just to get it. So this 10 that we had at the county, it's not going to be the same 10 moving.
No.
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 How many moving forward?
The 4 that Jake talked about,
Okay.
that funding will pay for 2 new commissioners, which we currently don't have in the budget. We're building that into the budget that's going to come before you all. The 4 planners and the 4 zoning planners, the historic preservation individual. This is 1, 2, 6, 7. Am I missing anybody, Jake? We are maintaining, the 8th is that we're maintaining a relationship with the county for a planner 2 to maintain that. So that's 8. So it's not a 1-for-1. So
I can live with 8. I just want to.
Okay, so with the 8 coming though, so is that $1 million that's gonna cover all those folks?
No.
Yes?
Yep.
Dan just confirmed that it's 8 right now. So it is a 1-for-1.
It is a 1-for-1,
So
okay.
even the new ones, it will sustain that.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
So we're building the same capacity under city operations that we now share with the county.
Do we have like a plan for to sustain it as we move forward? Like
We will build it into the city budget.
Okay.
Right, because that abstract is no longer going in, right? It'll be coming back into
It will be
ours.
coming, we're going to build it into our city budget.
Okay.
And I think it is worth every dime.
Yes. You know, there's just little procedural logistics things, you know, that if we could get the planning board to meet maybe twice a month to handle things, because I perceive, and I think, we're going to have a lot of projects coming in the city.
That is our hope.
At once a month, and then the agenda's too long, and then people can't get the approvals. If we could do something like that.
We'll make that note.
Maybe have expand the planning commission so they meet twice a month with different people. I got all sorts of ideas on this. 'Cause I'll tell you, this is.
Still waiting for this one.
I have to commend the administration for doing this. I mean, I've probably been bemoaning the fate of the developers for years and years dealing with the planning commission.
Right.
It's very difficult.
Right. And even with the existing system, with its starts and stops, and what Jake and his team has been able to do, and the number of permits they've gotten through, and the amount of work that's been able to be accomplished over the last year, right after COVID, has been amazing.
Budget presentations, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you expect to be able to hire quickly? Is there a pool of candidates out? I mean, we've heard for the last 6 months that I've been here, all we keep hearing is we're short-staffed because nobody's applying, we're short-staffed because there's no candidates. Are you going to be in that same situation where we switch over and then can't hire anybody to do the job?
So specific to the zoning staff that we're bringing on to city government, we're connecting to, I guess maybe I would call it non-traditional avenues to reach recruits. We've made some connections with Cornell University. We believe they have students that want to, move here, live in the area. They have a background in their education. But yeah, we believe we can put these out to the community and hire city residents or people that want to move here to take these positions. I've done a lot of work with our newer land use attorney, who was always funded in the budget, so you won't see that listed here, but we have a new land use attorney. A lot of knowledge and experience nationally. We've looked at salaries compared to other mid and larger size cities. We think our salaries are very competitive, so we think we can get attraction not only locally and regionally, but nationally.
I'm assuming that we're keeping our eye on hiring diverse candidates.
So we are, and I think that shows within the body of employees that we currently have across neighborhood and business development at all levels. So it's, we had, so Deputy Commissioner Ennis had a gathering for staff yesterday, and if you looked at the ethnic, racial, age, gender diversity, that just showed up because they wanted to be together for the evening as a staff event. You'd say, yeah, this looks like the community we serve.
How come the council wasn't invited?
You are always welcome, Counselor, to apply for jobs to work for Eric.
I didn't go either. They wanted to get together with themselves. They left you out, Deputy Mayor? They invited me, but you know what? You don't want to. That's you.
Who is this?
That's true.
Someone is here that can also do the
Counselor, that is why we want to get started now.
I'll never stop saying that.
Can I ask a quick question, right? when we talk about what Jimmy just brought up is very pertinent to me. When we talk about diversity and how many folks do we have? Oh my God, yeah, how many folks? Yeah. how many any color is in your leadership team? Yeah.
Oh, so if you look at our director level, director neighborhood planning, we've got multiple managers, we've got I would say really throughout the department at every different level. You're looking at diversity based on age, based on race, based on identity.
But not in the director level, right? They're on the lower level.
So our director of neighborhood.
Simone is a director.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Counselor, recently I asked Rick, and we have a new individual on board that looks at diversity across the board, even how we're recruiting, how we're getting out there. So I recently asked him just to, get a look across the board, what our diversity looks like. We're also talking about how we can, I forgot this is off, how we can talk about
oh, it's off.
training position for people to step up into management opportunities.
And I only bring that up because I sit on a lot of boards, I work for a not-for-profit, and I'm just going to say this. The buzzword across the city is inclusiveness and diversity. But when you look at the top layer, there is no inclusiveness and there is no diversity. So I'm just asking the question because if we're going to talk it, we need to be it.
We also have, in working with Center State, I believe it is, an executive training initiative. Multiple individuals have applied for and are going to be going through that, and that pool is diverse. So to your point, it is not just working for the city, but having an opportunity at executive level.
Yes. And not just black people, Asian, Somalian, whoever. Let's just make it diverse.
So head of finance within neighborhood and business development, head of lead enforcement within codes, within the incoming head of the financial empowerment center. I should probably stop because I'm going to miss people that would reasonably be offended the fact that I missed them.
No, just stop.
I have a question. Sort of not to you guys, but to Shannon, right? No, you mentioned, excuse me, here. You mentioned that you have someone that's doing more of the engagement that do we have anybody is that person also going out in the community to educate them about the positions that are available here?
Yeah, you want to come up? No? I thought he was in here. Yes. So we're making connections.
Senior project.
She's been on maybe 3 months now, 4 months now. So yeah, and that position was brought in particularly for DEI related. The most important thing for us, for me, that I saw as a red flag was the ability for people to even know positions were available in the city of Syracuse. So one step that we've improved. Like Jake is going to go out beyond what we're doing right now for these zoning and planning positions. But that's how we ended up on Indeed. Now, is that all we need to do? No. Eric was recruiting recently, and he paid for LinkedIn. We saw some results from that. So we're testing that all over the place for different platforms to make sure. But it was, we don't stand a chance in diversity if people don't know about how. And, while we're having conversations about salary, equity, and that type of thing, particularly around the 3 government entities that I always point out, the city, the county, and the school district, if we don't have an opportunity for people to even know, because coming on salary, you're not going to beat our benefit package if you go into private or even not-for-profit. You're not going to beat that. When I left the city and went to Southwest, I was in sticker shock when I had to pay for insurance. And so we always are trying to, I'm on Rick, he's going to kill me because I'm saying this on the mic, but I'm going to say it anyway.
No, the mic is shut off. You're not saying
it. It's red again.
Just say anything you want to say. Come on, let it out.
No, We have a lot of interns. We should have a remitted tuition opportunity for our current staff. We have a lot of current staff who are credits away from a bachelor's degree. How can we create opportunities for them to be able to earn remitted tuition opportunities, because we have interns all over the place.
And really, you just proved that point by putting the broadband package in front of us. So if you think about those census tracts, how many people don't have internet access?
Right.
And how are we reaching them? Because Indeed's not going to work.
Right.
Right? So what has become traditional now, which is Indeed and other online platforms, there's a lot of people that are never going to see that unless we...
I'm going to tell you what we're learning is the greatest impact that we're having with finding individuals who wouldn't go through those traditional have been those job fairs. Yeah. So we have been attending those job fairs. Whenever one comes out, our HR department is there. And so we're getting new people coming in and applying just because they physically came to an appointment.
One more thing.
Is there any way, as we continue to build it, I think this is awesome that we're educating, but as our young people are coming up, right, they know they go to economics, they go to government classes, but no one ever actually tells them about the 50 positions, 60 positions that are available. So as they're thinking about career base, right
here.
They can say, oh wow, I can
Mine always all over the place.
because there's still positions here that I was like, wow, this is what
Right.
you know, the city does. And so if we educate them younger and they know about it, then it might be a possibility that they will do it.
Absolutely.
Sharon, one more thing, Sharon, in our HR department, you know, we don't have a list of the actual positions that are available.
Okay.
And that's something that I went in talking to the commissioner. He has no access to.
Yes.
How do we?
The council brought that up. Council brought that up in a recent study session, and it is the nature of our AS400 system. So. Absolutely, we should be able to generate and know at the push of a button what we have available across city government.
Right.
And it's only good as information in, information out. So that is always changing. So from department to department, it is basically we don't have a system that can keep up with our growth and what we need to, the diversity of not just people but service needs. What we need to do. So Rick told you the bottom line of what he's dealing with that system, but it just is inadequate and insufficient and unacceptable for what we need. So we piecemeal it together at this point, which is not an efficient way to do that for a city that is the city of Syracuse.
I'm going to ask this question, and maybe we should probably save it for HR
Committee meeting, yeah.
budget meeting.
Yeah. Or the budget hearing.
But do we know the city retention rate?
Right.
Great question. Off the top of my head, no. So
Talent management system, it's pretty hard to get to that number, right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't know it either. I've only been here 50 years.
Also, as people leave the city for various reasons, do we do exit interview and record them?
Yes, HR does. There's been one change in their system is they do exits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm asking that because DEI is such a buzzword, right? And big organizations are doing that because it's politically sensitive, right? But when you really the execution of DEI, some of these major organizations are horrible, right? Because they can say that, you know, maybe pushing a black person or LGBTQIA person in there. And then when you really go deep into it, there is no support base. And then when you talk about inclusion, people are flocking.
DEI is about culture.
Right.
Not culture meaning race or ethnicity, but how we think and how we, yes.
So with that, I would encourage you to take it at a high level.
Sure.
You know, to really look at that.
Yeah.
At the management level, you know, what are they doing?
Yep.
To keep people, and people may be, you know, as you talk about city passes and being attractive, people may stay, and that doesn't mean that they feel included.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it's our job as leaders to make sure that people who choose because it's a choice to work for the city.
Yep.
People who choose to work for the city are comfortable here.
Yes.
You know, and they feel included, and somehow that this
Right.
is happening.
Right. And one thing that we're looking at is, okay, the bottom line is that what I take home in my pay. I have to have cash to be able to pay bills, support my family. But we're also looking at what is the dollar assigned to the collective benefit you get working for the city as well. So how do we add to that basket as we're trying to equalize the salary gap that we had? Because as we're going to talk about in the budget, you know, we have expenses and not enough revenue to keep up with it. Right. And so what can we really package as the full benefit? Full benefit. Salary is important, but what else do we provide? The health benefits, remitted tuition, a bunch of things that we can add to a collective compensation basket that would make us attractive.
SPD has done a good job, especially when we were trying to figure out the package of a first year police officer.
To attract and retain.
Especially onboarding right
Yep.
there, and the package that we give them to
Right.
really quantify that and present it to them. Because it frames a different picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you said it, Deputy Mayor, it's the culture, because I'm sorry, when you walk into a room and the culture is not good, it changes the whole dynamic.
It doesn't matter what the face of the person sitting in front of the room is. If the culture has not adopted the concept of DEI, respecting and honoring who a person is, the holistic portion of that person.
Absolutely.
Aside from labels that describe who they are. It's an appreciation of the person and what they bring.
And maybe we really need to have a big, broad conversation around hiring in general, not just in pieces, department by department, like a broad conversation. I mean, I would argue that this is probably the most community-facing council that I've ever seen in my, I should never tell my age, 48 years. But we're not just politicians. This is not just a body of politicians sitting here. These are people that are out there in the community. We know this city, and I think there's a lot to be gained from us saying, okay, here's what we think we should be doing to try to hire. Because you can walk in a lot of rooms, and I guarantee you, if you poll that room, nobody in that room knows what jobs we have available in the city of Syracuse.
But you have ambassadors. And you have ambassadors that work here, and they're moving themselves up through the system, and those would be the people that I would target to kind of move the needle as well. So
one of the other things that we're going to be implementing, HR is working on, is employee research groups, resource groups. That's a model that's used in the private industry all over. Collections of staff who come together around topic areas. Mm-hmm. One may be professional development. One may be a group just of individuals who have children with disabilities, and the challenge that is of working. So that is one thing that HR is working on. We just want to create, you all just allowed us to pass what I just found out. I just downloaded our new EAP package. It is amazing. Mm-hmm. It is amazing. There are so many different avenues of resources that staff can use just through that app, from legal to mindfulness to counseling. It is so much. It's amazing.
But it takes a certain amount of finesse to get a 22-year-old today to understand the importance of health insurance and a pension, and the grab for something other than immediate cash.
It does.
My 20-something, when she was 20-something-year-old daughter came to me and she got a new job and said, could you help me fill out my health benefit package and my retirement package? And I said, do you know how old I was before I had a pension? And here you are in your 20s and you're doing that paperwork. And so yes, changing the dynamic of generational wealth is beyond, it has so many different things, and that is one of them. Understanding working for the city helps your trajectory of generational wealth, because a pension means a lot to you in 20 years.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
One more question, and this, I don't even know if you can answer it, but just a thought process. As we know, in organizations and business right here in City Hall, as our older generation, right, our wiser people, like, you know what I'm supposed to say.
Wiser. Wiser.
Let me push out the way. Let me move.
Let's get our DEI language.
Here it comes fast.
As our wiser people start aging out, right, are we like looking at, like, okay, wait a minute, we know these positions, people are leaving, and You know, are we preparing that? You know, because what happens is knowledge leaves, and then we get new people in, and everybody.
Yeah, I'm brewing the day.
Okay.
We wanted Joe Barry.
I was from the city of Syracuse.
Me too.
The amount of knowledge, historical knowledge that man possesses.
We'll make him a consultant.
Cannot be replaced by just simply filling a position.
Right.
And so it's a delicate balance, because sometimes those are times we're always trying to balance a budget in the interest of the taxpayer dollar too. So if we're finding, you know, positions that are going right, we're really evaluating those positions, whether or not we're refilling them. What we're doing, and the reason why we're here today, we see that as a absolute forward-thinking benefit to the taxpayer. And so it's well worth the dollar. But yeah, there's, what's the commercial that says priceless? There's no replacing that knowledge with a person.
You're too kind.
We don't feel the same way about Councilor Hogan.
Just the voters in the second council district. So this was a wide range, and I'm glad there's some great questions here. They all do pertain. You know, we need economic development, we need good codes, we need a process that goes fast in order to generate the revenue.
Housing, we got to have a solid housing stock that's available for all spectrums of people.
And we need to be nimble and flexible, and you've done it with this legislation. So if there are no other questions.
There is one quick one, and it's gonna.
Why did I know?
Okay, but I'm just gonna go in a whole nother way, because, you know, transparency is key. How is permitting going? Because I've been talking to some of the developers, and they're saying that it's cumbersome now, and then maybe they're the older ones, because they can't. They prefer to bring all the drafts to you in person.
Yeah, so great question. Since Jake started in a leadership position as head of the permitting department, we have been undergoing a revamp of the entire system. And we've got areas where we've been completely successful with it. We've got other areas that are, you know, we had to make priorities. You can't do it all at once. And so we still have a number of other areas to do it after that. There are some people that have struggled with the fact that...
And they tell you about it in the grocery store.
And
right?
they will tell you about it anywhere. Grocery store, I've been stopped when I've been out for a run at 6 o'clock in the morning. Hey, I need to talk to you. The reality is, as we move to a system that is not just much faster for us, but costs the developers a lot less money because they don't have to pay massive printing fees to be able to submit, 99% of them love it. 1% of them are loud. So
you were also training a lot of new people, so that was part of.
There's that, but there's also you know, Jake's team, and I'll let him speak to it in a minute. But I want to brag about how much they have actually done to train up developers on this as well. So to be highly successful, I always get CC'd in when there's somebody that is feeling like they should be allowed to just either come in and drop something off, or, you know, I uploaded it, but the most recent one that I had was someone who didn't know how to put their stamp on within a PDF and then upload it, which you know, if that's part of your profession, I don't know that that's necessarily the permitting team's issue. That's one of those things that, you know, that professional can have some developmental training on as well.
And actually, in my own experience, just a few weeks ago, I came in, I didn't know I was supposed to upload that. So the person in the front desk actually took me through the process, taught me how to do it, and they did it themselves and sent it up.
Sure.
So that worked nicely.
I'm old. They can't teach me that.
We can teach you that.
I can't learn it.
So you know, they're being helpful.
We ripped the Band-Aid off and went, one day we were paper-based and the next day we were digital.
Exactly.
So we did that intentionally. We're very cognizant that there's still people that need some guidance. We have packets that we digitally can give you, or print it and give it to you, that walk you through how to navigate that. But we also have staff that will do that. So as Michael said, I think that's the minority in those complaints. And if, you know, a big commercial project, new construction, they're saving $10,000 on paper and plans being submitted for construction review. So developers like it. It's easier to manage. There's not, anybody remember going in the permit office 6 years ago? There's paper everywhere. There's not a set of plans down there today.
So that 1% can't just bring you his paper. You're going to teach him how to get uploaded, right?
That's the goal.
So to be clear, that's for the large stuff. If you want to come in and you want to have a fence done on your build a fence on your around your property for your home, we'll work with you right at the counter.
I ain't going to tell you.
Well, there's also that does happen, but yeah, for the resident that wants to come in and do something on their own property, that's I want to get my driveway paved, do the roof, something like that, we can work with them right at the counter. It's the large projects that have these massive printing fees.
He's a big project, and he wants to bring in all the paper rolls and give them to you.
It's which was great in 1986.
Right. Okay.
We don't even have the tables that hold the plans like that anymore. We got rid of them.
But if they come in with the paper, that Mangus paper, can you help them upload it up there or no?
We can coach them through it.
You can coach them through it.
Yeah.
And you have the means to have them loaded up right there, right?
No, they wouldn't
go back out
because they need the electronic copy that they used to print the paper. Like it's what they started with was electronic to begin with. So that
It's there.
To
Yeah.
my knowledge, I don't know that we have many active design professionals that are actually drafting blueprints by hand. So those are digital somewhere. They need to just upload them in our system.
We should consider a kiosk or something at the new location, so if somebody does come in with a...
Oh, that's a great
That's
idea.
what I was alluding to, yeah. To
Yeah,
have it
that's a
right
great
there.
idea.
If somebody come and carry, 'cause it's gonna be what? Trust me, great. They're gonna show up.
Councilman Joe?
Yeah.
That paper
Yeah.
has a digital footprint.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
so what I'm just suggesting is when we make the move, if we can have a kiosk, maybe that if you come in and you're, I got it on my thumb drive.
Yeah.
Load it up.
Okay.
That works.
Okay, counselors, thank you for everything.
Thank
Motion to adjourn? Second? Okay.
Wait. Michael?